The system ordered me to win the female lead's heart. Who's had mind-reading powers since she was little? Grew up to be ruthless and cruel, cold and unfeeling. Gloomy, isolated yandere. I thought for a second. Chose to enter the world when the female lead was 1 year old. I kept a straight face. Starting today, I'll be her legal guardian. Teach her to know and follow the law. Respect the elderly and care for the young. Be positive and upbeat. Be a decent person. A great courting strategy starts with education. The system was convinced by me. You've got a point. So that day, snow was falling heavily. I picked up the female lead abandoned at the hospital, 1-year-old Jang Hek-sui. 6 years later, at the welfare home I run, she asked me in a cute, soft voice, "Director, what does courting strategy mean?" I ruffled her hair and said, "It means, I want you to feel the care and love of this world." 7-year-old Jang Hek-sui's eyes were sparkling, so happy she spun around in circles. "I love you too, Director." Around her, the female lead's future subordinates, business partners, rival and first love all crowded around me, chattering away. I love Director the most. Female lead affection level maxed out. Host mission completed. Who knew that would work? After I died from overworking at my job, I was forced to bind with a system and took on a courting mission. The system sent me the original story plot. I stared at the dull-eyed girl in the file, lost in thought. She was being trampled underfoot, covered in bruises all over, her eyes filled with a lifeless gray. So indifferent, she seemed detached from the whole world. After you enter the world, you can take her home, but she's working outside at this point and suffers all kinds of bullying. She might not trust you. So you need to soften her with love. Also, she has a childhood sweetheart. Who's her first love? According to our data, after she reunites with her first love, there will be misunderstandings between you two. I cut him off. How old is she? She looks like she's only a teen. He froze for a second. This is a photo of her when she was 14. Then why is she working outside? She should be in school at this age, right? She dropped out of school because she had no money. Compulsory education is 9 years. The welfare home should cover her tuition and fees, too. The welfare home she's in isn't properly regulated. The system was confused by me. Oh, is that right? I thought for a moment. Looks like the system in this area isn't perfect either. Send me into this world. I already know what to do. So which time point do you want to choose? When she's 14 and getting yelled at by customers? Or when she's 18 and passed out in an alley? Or when she's 23? Obviously when she's 1 year old. Jang Hek-sui was sickly when she was born. Her father's identity is unknown. Her mother died during labor. Her distant relatives, when she was just 1 year old, abandoned her right at the hospital entrance. It was the dead of winter that day. Snow was falling heavily. Jang Hek-sui had a high fever and lost part of her hearing, but she happened to have the female lead's cheat code, mind reading. From that day on, her world was completely silent, yet malice came at her nonstop. I stood at the hospital entrance, looking at the sleeping baby in my arms, and said bluntly to the system, if I'm gonna court her, you gotta give me some cheats, right? Like money, for example. Otherwise, the female lead will starve to death. But before the courting mission is completed, I can't give you any financial help. I don't care. You're the one who summoned me here. You have to figure something out for me. Fine, wait a second. The system came back soon after. He handed me a bank card. Said it was sponsored by his previous host. I took it without thinking twice. After the system gave me the cheats, he was a bit nervous and asked me this for the 13th time. Is this really gonna work? Or I can send you 10 years into the future. I shook my finger. I'm 22 right now. Courting someone like this. 1 year old is okay. 18 years old is not okay. 16 years old is definitely not okay. 11 years old is even more of a no-go. I tucked the baby's swaddle a little tighter and took her into the hospital. I hope it's not too late right now. That her hearing can still be saved. The system helped me make an ID certificate. I first sent Jang Hek-sui to the hospital for examination and treatment. Then I went to take over that shabby-looking Bo-ai Welfare Institute. Jang Hek-sui is an abandoned baby. After the hospital handed the case over to the police, with some arrangements on my end, I adopted Jang Hek-sui, and she entered Bo-ai Welfare Institute, becoming the only child in the institute. The plot is going exactly as written, but the difference is, I'm the head of the Welfare Institute this time. I took care of Jung Hek-sui while rebuilding the entire Welfare Institute at the same time. I systematically improved the infrastructure inside the institute. Everything is going very smoothly. The system was totally shocked by this, because Jung Hek-sui's favorability towards me keeps rising. It's already reached 80. I'm not surprised at all. A little kid this young gets closest to. The person who takes care of her every day, obviously. Even though Jung Hek-sui doesn't understand what love is yet, she already learned to reach out both hands when I go to pick her up and give me a sweet smile. Every time this happens, the system will mumble to itself. How could this be? Is this even allowed? Oh, it actually works this way. I ignored his dazed state. I looked up at the brand new Welfare Institute in front of me and said satisfactorily, "Good efficiency." I just wonder if there are any supporting educational facilities nearby. I checked the local policies here. Welfare institutes are allowed to run their own schools. It's just that Boai Welfare Institute obviously doesn't qualify right now. I still need to put in more work. He didn't understand what I said, so he chose to stay silent since we got to the hospital in time. Plus, I took good care of her. Jung Hek-sui is very healthy. When she turned 3, she could run and jump, and would call me director in her cute baby voice. Little Jung Hek-sui asked me, "Director, what does my name mean?" I held her and told her, the day she came into this world, it was snowing, and her mom loved cranes very much. She was too little to understand the meaning of death and separation, but I didn't want to erase the origin of her name, just because of that. Jung Hek-sui half understood what I said. My name has the crane that Mom likes. So Mom likes me too, right? Yes. I stroked her head. She loves you very much. Then she got all happy and showed that sweet smile again. The day I taught Jung Hek-sui to write her own name, I asked the system, "You systems? Have many different types too, right?" The system was stumped by my question and started thinking seriously, "I don't know, but we're all romance strategy systems." I caught the clue from his "you guys." "Do you have colleagues?" "I do, but I don't have a name." "Do all of them have names?" The system said blankly, "They all picked names for themselves. My good friend I knew before is called Xiaozi, and there's also Xiaojing, Xiaoyi, Xiaoshi. Then why don't you pick a name for yourself, just like them?" The system hesitated for a few seconds, but some other colleagues said before that they're not doing their proper jobs. They started doing other stuff after picking names. You can do other stuff too, like running this welfare institute well with me, but I'm still doing the strategy mission at the same time, so this doesn't count as neglecting my duty. The system seemed to get excited. "Really? Can I pick a name for myself too?" I said gently, "Yes." "What do you want to be called?" "Then I'll run the Welfare Institute with you. I want to be called Xiaofu." I thought for a second. Xiaofu sounds nice. He went quiet for a long while, but I guess he probably went to share the good news with his friends. The day the Welfare Institute officially reopened, I brought Jung Hek-sui with me to welcome the new kids. I checked the files. Probably because of the plot's gravitational pull, Jung Hek-sui's former childhood sweetheart, and later first love Gu Rang also came. His parents both died in a car accident. Then he was sent to the orphanage. When he was 8 years old, his adoptive parents moved abroad with him. The plot doesn't go into much detail about this part, but Gu Rang went from a well-behaved, sensible little boy to the classic vicious villain character later on. This overseas experience must have been pretty unpleasant. I looked into it carefully and found that the adoptive couple actually didn't meet the adoption requirements at all. It's a problem with the orphanage's regulations. So I looked at the little boy in front of me. Looking all timid and shy, I squatted down, patted his head softly, and said, "Be good, Xiaorang. This will be your home from now on." He looked at me confusedly, probably because my eyes looked super patient. This extra sensitive kid didn't sense any malice at all. He carefully stretched out his chubby little hand and grabbed my finger. The cute, fair-faced little boy still had tear streaks on his cheeks, but he let me hold him in my arms obediently, eating the candy I gave him, and showed his first smile of the day. He tried to call me in a soft, tiny voice. "Director?" Jung Hek-sui, on the other hand, had a straight little face, and was a little nervous as he guided the newly arrived kids on a tour of the orphanage. This is the task I seriously assigned to him. He's really responsible too, and acts like a proper senior. He zipped back and forth among the new kids. I watched him comfort one kid saying, "Don't cry," give another kid a piece of candy, then clench his little fist and promise, "This is absolutely the best orphanage ever." I couldn't help but smile. In the afternoon, I put the kids down for a nap. Jung Heksu looked super excited. He couldn't fall asleep at all. He even whispered to me, "Director, among the new kids today, I like Lucci the most. He's so cool." Really? Why does the name Lucci sound so familiar? I looked at that little boy named Lucci and the birthmark on his face, and finally remembered, isn't this Jang Heksue's future arch-enemy? That gang boss Lucci. Isn't this Jang Heksue's future arch-enemy? That gang boss Lucci. Looks like I need to put law education classes on the agenda. That kid Lucci looks really timid right now. He keeps his head down and barely talks, because of that big birthmark on his face. Plus his congenital intellectual disability. He was abandoned by his own parents. Abandonment is a crime, you know? I looked at Lucci's self-conscious, sad expression and called Jang Heksue over. He probably heard my thoughts and looked like he was about to cry. He said gloomily, "Director, did Lucci's parents not want him anymore? Jang Heksue has telepathic powers, and he never hides it from me. We made a pinky promise that this is our little secret." So I said seriously too, what his parents did is wrong. They could get arrested for that. Jung Heksui half understood what I said. I want to be friends with him, then take him to play in the garden. Didn't you tell me last time you wanted to play seesaw with your little friends? Jung Heksui's eyes lit up, but he looked down soon after. But it's nap time right now. It's okay, this time is an exception. I patted his head and said, Heksue, we'll all be Lucci's family from now on. I want Lucci to be happy. Can you do that for me? Jung Heksui was full of energy. Yes. I opened the garden door and waved, watching the two little figures cheer as they ran towards the seesaw in the sun. I went back to the dorm. Sure enough, all the little heads lowered immediately. None of you can sleep, huh? I couldn't help laughing. There was total silence for a moment. Only Gu Rang lifted his head, pointed at the garden outside the window, and said in a cute little voice, I want to play with the director. Then let's all go play in the garden, I said with a smile. But it's nap time right now. Don't let this happen again, okay? The originally awkward and uneasy kids' eyes lit up immediately. They all answered me in unison and ran to the garden like a flock of happy little birds. I followed slowly behind them, chatting with Xiaofu. Why do they all like you so much? Host, I've never seen the favor progress go this fast before. Do you know a story? A demon trapped in a bottle once promised that if someone set him free, he would give that person unlimited power and wealth. But when he was found years later, he was actually upset with the fisherman who freed him, saying the fisherman came far too late. I have this story in my quick access database. Love follows the same logic. Strategy is essentially a form of exchange. You give love, you get love. But if they never got love growing up, what do you think those fake, impure love can get in return? So if I showed up when I was 15 or 16, in Hiju's heart, there's no way I could compare to Gu Rang, who grew up with her. To pull off the strategy successfully, Host, you chose to enter the 1-year-old timeline. Not exactly. I cracked a smile and picked up a kid running toward me. I patted her on the head. I just want to tell you one thing. What is it? The word strategy is way too broad. There are so many kinds of love in this world. Teaching them about this counts as strategy too, of course. Host, you're really different from everyone else I've met. I sat on the swing with the little girl in my arms. How many people have you even met? You're just a little kid in my eyes. Maybe in your system tests? Strategy used to be my job. That's why you picked me. It looked a little confused. Hey, what did you used to do for work? But it seems like lots of people loved you before, Host. Really? I paused for a second and laughed softly. I used to work in special education. I was the total black sheep of the Zhang family. All my siblings had big ambitions, either taking over the family company or making a name for themselves in the arts. Only I dove headfirst into a small county. After volunteering as a teacher there for years, I came back to work at a special needs school and finally even opened my own welfare home. Most orphans aren't perfectly healthy. They usually have all kinds of physical or mental disabilities. At first, when my family came to visit me, they'd always get spooked by the scratches on my body. They also asked me more than once, Jiangxi, have you lost your mind? Outsiders were even more confused. The Jiang family kids grew up in luxury. Why was there a Jiangxi who had not an ounce of noble air on her? But there will always be one or two life-changing events in everyone's life. But I don't want to judge what's noble and what's tacky, nor do I want to use fancy, high-sounding words to prove how special I am. Actually, I'm just an ordinary person among the countless people in this world. I just happened to choose this path. So I didn't care about all these doubts and mockery. I smiled faintly. I'm just like all of you. I'm just doing what I want to do. Xiaofu asked me, what was that life-changing event? Who knows? My childhood memories are all blurry, but I guess there was such an event. Actually, I do remember something. I remember our school held a charity event once. Students wore little suits and puffy dresses to bring gifts to the special needs school next door. But that day we didn't see any students from the special needs school. I heard their teacher say they were scared the kids would hurt us, so they locked them all in the dormitories. We put the books and clothes on their desks, and were supposed to leave after taking a few photos. I saw a book lying on one of the desks. It was a fairy tale book. There was a line of messy handwriting on it. Xiaoxing asked what stars look like. I want to know too. Do they taste good? In that fairy tale book, all the stars in the sky are candies. That got me thinking, can't Xiaoxing see the stars? What about the owner of this fairy tale book? Has he never eaten candy before? I looked down at my nice little suit. I struggled to pull a candy out of my pocket and quietly slipped it inside this book. Before I left, I glanced at the dorm building. I saw a few messy little kids squished by the window watching us. I felt a little sad all of a sudden. I only brought one candy and only left one there. Only one kid would get to taste a star. I spent a whole week working nonstop. The arrival of the new group of kids brought life and energy to this small place, and also a lot more things to take care of. Small things like the brand of milk for the kids, to big things like hiring new welfare home teachers. All of this had to be handled personally by me, the only person running the place. Luckily, I had my secret weapon, Xiaofu. It could help me monitor the kids' condition to keep them safe from accidents. Otherwise, even if I split into 3 people, I still couldn't handle everything. Our orphanage isn't very large in scale. I've already hired a cook, a cleaner, doctors, nurses, and caregivers. Next, I need to sort out the details of setting up classes. I have to hire enough reliable people. After several rounds of interviews and screening, I finally hired the person who perfectly fit my requirements. She was a girl whose looks alone could rival those of celebrities. She was very young, with ear-length short hair. She had red lips and white teeth, and a gentle personality. There was a bright red mole at the corner of her eye. Honestly speaking, I could tell she came from a well-off family. Judging by both her manners and temperament, she must have been a girl who was doted on since she was little, but her skin was slightly tanned, and her cheeks had the rosy flush from Highland sun exposure. My name is Enwanking. The girl's eyes were as bright as stars. Hello, Din Jiang. I held out my hand to her too. Hello, Wanking. With Enwanking joining the team, I had more time to handle the kids' schooling issues. Orphanages with enough resources run their own classes. Those without the conditions usually arrange for kids to attend day school. Considering the special needs of several kids, I decided to set up different classes and divide them into groups for lessons. After all the paperwork was completed, I took Enwanking with me to hire a new group of subject teachers, and we officially started in-orphanage courses. There aren't too many kids in the orphanage, so I only set up one class. The name was chosen democratically. All the kids liked the name Green Sprout the most. So the first class of Boai Orphanage, the Green Sprout class, was officially established. I've always been very experienced with this kind of work, and Wanking had obviously done her homework too. So the courses ran very smoothly. Actually, during kids' early enlightenment stage, the priority isn't spreading knowledge, but building good habits and shaping their character. I started a story time class and told them one story every day. In the world of fairy tales, the sky always clears up eventually. Bad guys always lose, princesses meet their princes, and ugly ducklings turn into beautiful swans. Even random small animals you save come back to repay the favor. Of course, real life isn't all fairy tales. Maybe when they grow up, they'll understand that reality isn't as nice as they imagine, but I still hope they can believe in fairy tales. But after story time ends, and Wanking also teaches them safety education lessons. You must never intend to harm others, but you must always stay alert to potential harm from others. I can teach them to be kind to the world, but someone also needs to tell them that not everyone has good intentions. They have to be sufficiently alert and learn to protect themselves. I appointed Jang Hexwei as the monitor of Green Sprout class. This little girl soon developed a strong sense of responsibility and worked hard every day to keep the class harmonious. Most of the time, the little monitor was full of energy, but sometimes she felt frustrated too. Like today, Jang Hexwei was lying glumly on my lap.
Dean, Lucci cried today.
I heard him wondering why his mom and dad don't want him. Ever since Lucci came to the orphanage, he's become a lot more cheerful, but sometimes he still cries secretly in the evening. Jang Hexwei couldn't help her friend solve this trouble, so she came to ask me what to do. From what I've told her before, his mom loved him very much, so Jang Hexwei couldn't understand why Lucci's parents would abandon their own child. Xiaojue, people are all different. Some parents don't love their kids at all. Then why did they have him? There are all kinds of reasons that we have no way of knowing. But what I want to tell you is, Lucci's parents abandoning him is a crime. There are still many kids abandoned by their parents in this world. Lucci has you as a friend who worries about him, but many other kids don't even have friends. Really, Jang Hexui's big dark eyes went wide with shock. I gave Jang Hexui a suggestion. When you get a little older, you and Lucci can work together to protect these kids just like him. I'll go talk to Lucci now. Bye, Dean. Jang Hexui listened carefully, stood up, and ran pitter-patter outside. Go on, Xiaojue. Actually, in the original novel, Lucci was a very protective person. Most of his followers were homeless delinquents, most of whom had no parents at all. I don't really buy that. This is a coincidence. Though in the photo shown in the plot, the man with a birthmark on his face looks terrifying and has a cold, stern look, like he has no emotions at all. But maybe back in his childhood, he also longed for this kind of protection. They say the things people do when they grow up come from compensatory psychology for their childhood. I fell into deep thought. At least this time, we definitely can't let Lucci become the gang leader. The first fall after we launched the courses, I announced a piece of news. There will be no classes for the whole yard tomorrow. We're all going on an autumn outing. In the past, for easier management, and also considering safety issues, these kids barely went out, let alone going out as a group. The autumn outing spot was still chosen democratically, and we settled on the zoo. I also contacted several places like science museums, and botanical gardens. It turned out only the one in the neighboring city. Nancheng Zoo is the most suitable. When they heard kids from the welfare home are coming to visit, the zoo director straight up generously offered to waive the entry tickets and even cover the lunch cost inside the zoo. We only need to pay for the round-trip transportation fee ourselves. I looked it up. I found Nancheng Zoo is actually pretty famous because the zoo has a really nice environment, and the animals there are very smart and soulful. It even once collaborated with a certain big famous entertainment company on a variety show. That variety show is still super popular to this day. The director of Nancheng Zoo is also very well known. First, because she's very good looking. Second, because she's always dedicated to ecological protection and public welfare projects related to animal conservation. Out of curiosity, Xiaofu and I looked up the director's photo. Extremely young. An unbelievably beautiful face. Xiaofu suddenly let out a gasp. I remember now. Remember what? I heard from friends before. The very first colleagues who named themselves aren't necessarily all systems, and not as smart as us anyway. There used to be one called Shaoling. It's basically a type of consciousness that can communicate with everything in the world. Then it chose a host with the last name G. The G family got the ability to communicate with animals, and also promised it that they would always protect forests and animals. That's the promise between them. I glanced at the director's name. So she's a descendant of the G family. Xiaofu sounded super happy. We met a colleague. You'll meet more colleagues in the future. The person I got in touch with at Nancheng Zoo is a young girl. Her WeChat name is Xiaowen. She lives up to her name. Her voice is soft and gentle, patient and warm. Don't worry, Dean Zhang. We'll reduce the number of tickets sold at the zoo that day and arrange staff to follow us and give explanations. She also has Xiaoling's aura on her. Wait, that's weird. Why is there also Xiaoxi's data here? Who's Xiaoxi anyway? I didn't even get to ask. before Xiaofu mumbled to himself and disappeared. I guess he went to contact his friends. But since it's connected to these cute little systems, that's more than enough proof that Nanchengzu is indeed the best choice. I replied to Xiaowen. Sorry to trouble you guys then. Xiaowen responded with a smile. No problem at all. The autumn outing plan made every kid in the welfare home super excited. They chattered nonstop every day, talking about the animals they wanted to see, and Wang King was worried and reminded them of safety rules over and over again. She also carefully designed for every kid a green seedling hand towel and an autumn outing flag. The flag gets pinned to their little bags. The hand towel is a fresh, bright green, tied around the kids' wrists in a little bow. The hand towel has all our teachers' contact info printed on it, in case they get lost and don't know how to get back. I split the 20-something kids into 4 groups. The group leaders were chosen by themselves. Each group has their own group flag. They're responsible for making sure no team members fall behind. It's their first time going out. The group leaders all had serious little faces and promised me they would definitely keep an eye on everyone. Looking both excited and nervous, I rented a coach bus. Amid the kids' laughter and cheers, right when the sky started to light up, we set off. Nanchengzu lives up to its reputation. Green everywhere you look. Full of life. Xiaowen is a young girl with delicate and pretty features, and she has big doe eyes. She looks super sweet and well-behaved. She also looks really young for her age. Hello, Dean Zhang, everyone. I'm Wen Waxi, your guide for today. She greeted us in her work uniform. Dean, I saw her on TV before. That variety show she joined was super popular back then, and Wang King seemed to suddenly remember something and whispered in my ear after I said hi to Wen Waxi. Out of curiosity, I looked up her videos online. The first title that popped up was super shocking. Watch cute girl tame ferocious tiger. It's Xiao Wen. My expression froze for a second. Wen Waxi looked sweet and cute on the surface, just like a regular girl next door. She led us into the park area, then greeted the tiger next to her like it was totally normal. Ah, Fei Fei, stay back. Don't scare the kids. Then the tiger seemed to understand exactly what she said, and obediently stepped back a few steps, and sat down on the ground. Ah! The air went silent for a few seconds. The kids burst into cheers and screams. Sister Xiaowen is so cool. Gurang stepped back one step and lifted his shiny, bright eyes, tugged at the corner of my coat and said, Dean. The big tiger growled twice just now. Does he want to come out and play with us? Jiang Hexu is a total doer. She asked Wen Wei curiously. Sister Xiaowen, what is Fei Fei saying? Wen Wei suddenly looked really awkward, but she still kept the smile on her face. He's hungry. Didn't he eat breakfast? Oh, he did. Wen Weixi rubbed her forehead, but he's hungry again. Jiang Hexu looked totally confused. How can he be hungry again? Liko chimed in. He eats so much, wow. After we finished visiting the tiger enclosure, we went to the crane garden, monkey park, and aviary. Lunch was prepared by Nanchang Zoo. They set up the spot next to the aquarium ahead of time, with picnic blankets on the lawn and small snacks. Swan Lake was right next to us. The kids had their picnic while watching the swans. Everyone was having a great time. We cleaned up all the trash after the meal. The kids, who still wanted more fun, went into the aquarium. The zoo director allowed us to get up close with dolphins and beluga whales. Jiang Hexu's eyes were sparkling. Dean, the dolphins are so cute. Gurang was super excited too. He nudged my hand with his head. Lucci stood quietly off to the side, watching the beluga whales in the water. The beluga named Xiaobai came over and nudged us cutely. Their naturally upturned mouths make them look like they're always smiling. Lucci looked at this smiling little angel, hesitated for a second, then reached out his hand. Xiaobai nudged his hand through the glass with his nose. This usually quiet boy acted as if he'd just gotten the most precious treasure in the world. His mouth parted slightly. He pressed his lips together for ages, but couldn't hold back a smile. Xiaobai swam around the glass a few times and tilted his head. Lucci tilted his head right along with him. I watched the boy and the whale having so much fun, and couldn't help smiling. Dean, it's so nice. I've never seen them this happy before. Staying at the orphanage all the time isn't the best option for them. When they get a little older, we should send them off to school. And One King was clearly worried about something. Don't worry. Even if I can't block all the malice that could hurt the kids for their whole lives, There are always other ways. Scars, only hurt when you care about them.
If you don't care about them,
Then we're completely unbreakable. The trip to the zoo was a huge success. When we got back to the orphanage, the kids didn't even need to be told. They wrote their weekly journals and handed them in on their own. Even during art class, they all drew the little animals from the zoo without planning it. I saw they couldn't stop thinking about the zoo, so I just downloaded that variety show about Nanchang Zoo and play one episode for them every weekend. This easily became the most popular activity of the week. Sometimes they even skip their snacks and sit in rows in the activity room on weekends. After winter came, and Wanking and I bought new winter clothes for the kids. And Wanking said, "Dean, the annual assessment passed this year. We'll get new kids next year, right?" Not just that. Next year, our orphanage will officially open up adoption applications. I let out a sigh of relief. No rush on that. We need to vet the adopting families really carefully. And Wanking nodded in agreement. Bo-ai welfare home isn't very big. Even if we take in more kids later, there'll be at most a dozen more, I reckon. But that's okay. In a couple more years, when I get approved for more funding, we can expand the place. You gotta eat meals one bite at a time, and walk your path one step at a time. We passed a super fragrant hot pot restaurant, so I asked her, "Wanna get hot pot?" And Wanking was stunned for a second. But we should head back now. I smiled at her. Let's treat ourselves to a nice meal tomorrow. We'll have mini hot pot. Good stuff should be shared with everyone. And Wanking looked at me, her expression suddenly turning very gentle. She smiled, eyes crinkling. "Director, sometimes I think you and someone I know are really alike." We're alike in some ways, but different in others. The first time I met you, I even zoned out for a second. Do you miss him? You can go visit him during the spring festival. I do miss him a little, but I'm too embarrassed to say that to him. Is he a relative of yours? He's my older brother, just like you. He's also a teacher. I was a little surprised, but somehow not that surprised at the same time. Everyone will encounter one or two things that change their life, or people for that matter. The new year is coming up. On New Year's Eve, a light snow fell in Beijing. I organized all the kids to build snowmen and have snowball fights. Everyone was having a blast. Only Jiang Hexwei sat silently on the edge of the steps, resting her chin on her hands and staring at the sky. I bought them all winter 3-piece sets. She took off one fluffy glove, catching the snowflakes falling from the sky. I pretty much knew what she was thinking about. I told her the day she was born was a snowy day. That was also the first time she met her mom. She probably thinks every snowfall means her mom is coming back to see her. But she didn't sit there for long, before Lucci and Gurang each grabbed one of her hands and pulled her away. "Come on, let's draw in the snow." Lucci and I already finished ours. "We're just waiting for you." Gurang's little face was bright red from the cold, but he looked super excited. I drew a little tiger. Lucci drew a little whale. "What are you gonna draw?" Jiang Hexui squatted down and started drawing. Gurang looked totally confused. "What are you drawing here? Is it a caterpillar?" Lucci stared at it for ages before concluding, "Looks like a hen." Jiang Hexue, who had been keeping a straight face and looking all proud just now, immediately widened her eyes in anger. "No way, this is a red-crowned crane." A crane. The kids dragged me over to judge their drawings. I held back my laughter and said, "It really is a crane." "Director, you definitely think my drawing looks like a ball of yarn with 2 chopsticks stuck in it, don't you?" "Oh, oops. You caught me." I patted Jiang Hexwei on the head. All right. How about I draw a crane for you, huh?" The little girl who had been huffing with anger just now immediately lit up with joy. After the snow activities ended, I hurried them inside to wash their hands and faces with hot water, so they wouldn't catch a cold. The new year at the welfare home wasn't lonely at all. Lots of people came to visit us, and Wanking didn't leave either. When I asked her why, she just said this is the first New Year she's spending with Bo-ai welfare home, and she wants to stay with the kids. We put up Spring Festival couplets together, watched the Spring Festival gala, played games together, and then made wishes together. I prepared a red envelope for every kid. Inside were gifts and well wishes for them. At the same time, I also received 27 little notes, with their own wishes written on them. They're still too young, so it was just 9 p.m. when I hurried them off to bed. Then I went back to the office to handle work. It was almost midnight. My shoulders and neck were a little sore. I was just about to rub them myself when a warm force soothed my stiff muscles, chasing away my tiredness. I froze for a second, Xiaofu. Host, there's 5 minutes left until the new year. Yeah, time flies really fast. I put down my pen and quietly watched the falling snow outside the window, then stand up and walk to the kids' dormitory and tuck them in one by one. Happy New Year, Zhengxi. Happy New Year? Happy New Year, Xiaofu. When Zhang Hexui, Gurang, and Lu Qi were 7 years old, I sent them to the primary school next door. The orphanage expanded once in the past 2 years. We got new kids here, and some kids got adopted too. The oldest ones here are still the 3 of them. Zhang Hexu and Gurang are super popular. Many couples offered to adopt them. Some of them have really good family conditions, but neither of them wanted to leave. Zhang Hexui said, I'm still the monitor of Qingmiao class. I can't leave. Gurang also said, if I leave, what will Lu Qi and Xiao Shui do? On the first day of school, when the 3 of them walked out of school, I quickly noticed Gurang and Zhang Hexui looked off. Lu Qi, on the other hand, was super calm and greeted me nicely. They saw me waiting by the school gate. Zhang Hexu and Gurang froze for a second, then ran over to me quickly. I could tell they were trying to hide their feelings, so I didn't ask more about it. You guys are still little. I'll definitely pick you up and drop you off when I'm free. Zhang Hexui hugged my arm. You're the best, Dean. Are we having Coke chicken wings today? I held her little hand. It's the dish we have every first day of school. Of course we're having it today. Zhang Hexu squeezed her school bag pad and cheered. She stretched out her arms and hugged me right away. Gurang and Lu Qi followed right behind her, staring at me with longing puppy eyes. We also have sweet and sour ribs and saiba fish. How could we miss your favorite dishes? Gurang gave a quiet, shy smile. Lu Qi, however, looked up and gave me a big, bright smile. His bright, cheerful look is nothing like the photo in my memory. I paused for a second, then smiled happily a moment later. No matter what, he's getting better and better. That's exactly what I wanted. After finishing work in the evening, I was wondering if I should find Zhang Hexui to ask what happened today. I walked out of the office and heard noise from the backyard. I walked towards the garden and saw 3 kids sitting in a row by the slide. Gurang and Zhang Hexui both looked super down. Only Lu Qi was comforting them. It's okay, Gurang said angrily. But they all talked bad about you. I heard all of it. No one at the orphanage says stuff like that about you. Everyone thinks the marks on your face are super cool. That's because Lu Qi seemed to be anxious too. Because of what? Don't rush, take your time. Xiao Shui. You told me. The dean told you? Everyone is different from each other. Some moms don't love their kids. Some moms love their kids a lot. So some kids think the marks on my face are cool. Some think they're weird and scary. That's totally normal. I was scared you'd be sad. Scared you'd cry secretly. I won't do that anymore. Do you guys remember last winter when the dean took us to paint together? Is that the time we painted on each other's faces? The dean said we could draw princesses. Princes, knights, little devils, heroes. Then he painted a mask on my face and said I was Kamen Rider now. Yeah, you were super popular that day. Everyone only wanted to play with you, Lu Qi. You were so cool that day. But I knew the dean was trying to tell me, it's okay. I used to think I was super ugly. But the dean told me, I'm the coolest kid ever. I never thought I was ugly ever since. Lu Qi is the oldest of the 3. Gurang and Zhang Hexui didn't fully understand what he said. So it's okay. I don't care what other kids say about me. Besides, I have you guys, right? You guys will stand up for me. The dean is my favorite person. You guys are tied for 2nd place. Me too. Me too. I like the dean the most. And then there's you guys. Heh. I was standing behind the wall, listening to what these kids were saying. I couldn't help zoning out, then smiled softly. After the 3 kids, Pinky swore and promised to be best friends for life. I cleared my throat softly twice and walked into the garden. Dean. Caught you sneaking out, huh? The kids immediately stood up in a panic and lowered their heads obediently. I didn't blame them, though. I just took them back to the dorm. Before sending them inside, I squatted down and said patiently, No matter what happens, you can tell me you can try to solve it on your own first. But if you can't, I will definitely help you out. Seeing I wasn't scolding them for staying up and sneaking to the garden to play, Zhang Hexu's tense little face relaxed, and she responded first. Okay, the female lead's favorability is full. Mission completed. Right at this moment, Zhang Hexu asked in a small voice, Dean, what does raider mean? I was stunned for a second. I almost forgot. Xiao Xu can read minds. She will know one day why I came to be by her side. She will also know one day that I got a so-called raider mission from the very start. But that's okay. It means I want you to feel the care and love of this world. What I want to teach you is the thousands of kinds of love in the world. The thing that kids like you, from countless orphanages, are missing. I want to tell you, spring will come eventually. You who were abandoned in a corner of the world also have the right to enjoy sunshine, rain, and breeze. Birds will perch on your windowsill and sing for you. You will meet your own happiness and have a bright and splendid future as well. Xiaoxiu, I hope you grow up safe and healthy. This has nothing to do with my raider mission. It's just because you just like the countless kids I've taken care of before. I see traces of stars in your eyes. This time I don't only have one candy. I want to be the person who makes candies. One day, all of you kids will know what stars taste like. Zhang Hexui didn't fully understand, but she still reached out and hugged me. I love you too, Dean. I patted the little girl's head. That's okay. It's because you already understand what love means. You know, there are thousands of kinds of love in the world, so you won't trample on any kind of love easily. Gurang and Lucci also hugged me gently. I love you too, Dean. Our voices drifted into the dorm. Pairs of eyes opened one after another in the dark, and Wang King, who was just about to leave, was grabbed by a small hand beside her. The little girl said in a soft voice, I like Dean, but I also like Teacher Anne. I like both Dean and Teacher Anne. I have so many people I like. Auntie Lu who cooks, and Grandpa Chen at the gate too. I also like Sister Xiaowen who comes to see us every month, and Sister Xiaoyu who brought us clothes last time, and Wang King, who had just tucked the kids to sleep, was hugged by a group of kids. She looked at the figure at the door who was also being hugged tightly and smiled helplessly yet gently. After finally tucking the chattering group of kids, who were confessing their feelings, to sleep again, and Wang King and I closed the dorm door. The moonlight outside was perfect, bright and clear, spilling over the ground, like rolled jade beads. It's a new year again. It seems to snow every winter in North City. I leaned against the window, watching the kids play and mess around in the snow. They have new ideas this year. They're going to observe the shape of snowflakes with their science teacher. And Wang King walked lightly to my side. Your leave is approved. Go home, Wang King. You haven't been home for ages. No need, Dean. On the second day of the Lunar New Year this year, my brother is bringing his students to visit us. They said they'll volunteer at the orphanage. Students. How old are they? They're the first batch of students my brother taught. They've all graduated now. Don't worry, Dean. We followed all the procedures. And my brother is really nice. And Wang King rambled on non-stop. I smiled and said nothing, just nodded. Looks like the orphanage will be super lively again this year. On Chinese New Year's Eve, I tucked a bunch of kids into bed as usual. Then I sat alone in the office. Xiaofu quietly gave me a massage. I talked to him like I was chatting with an old friend and asked casually, Xiaofu, when are you leaving? Ever since we got bound together, he had told me that if I finished the capture mission, he would have to find his next host. Their system has KPIs to meet too. Xiaofu once aimed to be the biggest overachiever. When he saw how fast I was making progress, he was over the moon at first. But for some reason, after Xiaoxue's favorability score for me hit 100%, Xiaofu only stayed happy for a little while, then never mentioned anything about leaving ever again. He stayed with me until now. But this time, Xiaofu didn't stay silent like he usually did, or say maybe later. Instead, he landed gently on my palm. He rarely appears in front of me in this form. A squishy little ball of light, glowing with soft light. The usually awkward Xiaofu stammered for ages, before he finally got a full sentence out. Host, I don't want to leave. I was a little surprised, but also not that surprised. Why? 'Cause I have my own name now. I'm Xiaofu. I want to work with you to make Boai Welfare Institute the best it can be. I didn't say anything for a long time. He seemed to get nervous. Don't want that. You don't want me to stay with you. Of course not. I just can't describe how I feel at this moment. I can't put it into words either. Just like all my friends, I now have something I want to do. I have my own name and the best host ever. Everyone is happy for me. I stroked the tiny light ball in my hand. I'm happy for you too. If that's what you want, then in the new year, let's keep working hard together. Snow was falling heavily outside the window, but the room inside was as warm as spring. I walked out of the office as usual, to tuck the kids in the dormitory properly. But the second I pushed the door open, I froze. Hanging right outside the office door was a glass jar decorated with starlights. The jar was filled with stacks of cards. I reached out and took the jar down. The biggest card had handwriting I was very familiar with. Some of the words were even written in pinyin, but every single stroke was written extremely carefully. Dean, we from the seedling class, came up with this idea together, but your door is too high. We couldn't reach it, so we asked Teacher Ann to hang it up for us. From what we've observed, you really like stars, Dean. Lucci said you always look up at the sky. Gurang said you're looking at the moon, but I think you're definitely looking at the stars. We don't have moonlights, only starlights. But Gurang said he drew a moon for you. You celebrate every one of our birthdays every year, Dean, but we didn't know when your birthday is. So we asked Teacher Ann and found out. Your birthday is the day spring begins, but we have to go to bed, so we can't say happy birthday to you at night. We're all good kids. We're very obedient. Happy New Year, Dean. Happy birthday. We all wrote secret notes for you. You have to hide them and read them by yourself. All the kids from the seedling class. Jiang Hexui, Gu Rang, Lu Qi, Chen Yao. Every kid's signature was written neatly on the card. Not a single one extra. Not a single one missing. Then I opened the secret note Jiang Hexui wrote me. Dean. You told me the day I met my mom was a snowy winter day. I don't know what day I met you, Dean, but I think it's the prettiest season when the first flowers bloom. It's the season I met you. I'm giving you the first letter of spring, Dean. 'Cause I love you the most, Dean. Jiang Hexui. Somewhere off in the distance, fireworks went off. Gorgeous, colorful blooms burst across the sky in an instant. Happy New Year. Happy birthday, Jiangxi. Happy New Year. I held the star jar in my arms, reading this spring letter. Xiaofu once asked me, what would happen if one day Jiang Hexui found out I came here to capture her heart? What would she do? I thought for a second, then told her it's okay. Just like what I said to Jiang Hexui. It's okay. Love has no high or low ranks. It only differs between real and fake. There are many kinds of love in this world. Conditional, unconditional, fake, genuine. Disguised, honest, unacknowledged, or even the kind that, starts off insincere, but you end up pouring 100% of your heart into it.